Welcome to another episode of the Sparky Coach podcast. I'm going to throw it over to the intro lord for this one.
Do I have a name?
just the intro lord.
Okay, right. So today we're going to have a chat around hiring, but specifically around the hiring, because I think a lot of the times it's like, I'll just keep hiring and get more people because I need more people. But often the wrong hire is worse than no one.
Yeah, bad hire, a bad employee, I think it's much worse than not getting someone in the first place. So, let's just talk about the process. Usually you're good at your job and you grow you get some more work and that organic process leads to hiring. And I just want to flash back to a story when I was an apprentice, right? So I was an apprentice, my boss sent me out on a couple of jobs by myself. I think I was a first year. When I say I've had no idea what I was doing, that would actually be a kind thing to say.
Applicable.
So I was on this aircon maintenance, and there was a big list of, this grill is located here and put this filter down. And I'd never been to these places before. And just this pretty shy, pretty good looking though, 19-year-old turning up to people's businesses and they're going, does this guy have any idea what he's doing? Anyway, long story short, I had to
skinny, really clean, fresh uniform.
Yeah, I had a crow tattoo at that point, super hardcore. I was one of the first people to get tattoos in the world.
In history, in humankind.
Yeah, it really set that trend there.
So anyway, so you're fresh face, fresh uniform, looking like you got no idea what you're doing.
When you say fresh uniform, possibly a little bit of silicone on the uniform. I was a big wiper.
Yeah. Didn't use your sock? Just use straight on the
shirt. Why use something you can't see when you can use something you can see?
Makes sense.
Why use clear when you can use grey? Anyway, so I remember having to poo heaps bad. When you have to poo and then you have to poo heaps bad. This was maybe on the extremities of heaps bad. And I was pretty shy about asking people where their toilet was. I remember the toilet was right where this guy's desk was. And he was the one guy that was in that morning was the guy who was right there. And so I'm super insecure. I can't, at that point, it's an 8 to 10 minute job pooing for me. It's not going to happen quickly. It's I'm going to, this thing ages ago, not at this point, I had this thing where I had to take my clothes off when I pooed and I put my clothes on my lap.
Is this confessions? Is this post 20 or pre 20?
I don't know when this happened. It was probably 20 to 24.
Wow.
And I'd be nude pooing, but put clothes on the lap. Me and my mate Ben, don't want to throw him under the bus with his last name, but we had the same sort of thing happen to us. Ben from the Shire, a couple of kids.
Yeah.
I could narrow him down pretty cleanly. You might know who he is. Anyway, so long story short, I was didn't want to go there because I'm going to be in there for 8 minutes. He's going to know what I'm doing. It's going to stink the whole place out.
Bend it all weekend.
Yeah. and so anyway, so I'm basically get the job done somehow, the aircon work done somehow, drive to the next place. And I'm literally thinking I'm going to poo my pants. So I'm driving. Those feelings you're I gotta go. Lots of movement, lots of stress. Lots of is it coming out? I don't even know. Can I even do it? And I see this, what can only be described as this angel, this manna from heaven gets presented, this toilet block on a field, right? An oasis. So I just rip the car over. Is it no stopping? I don't know. I can't see. Need to poo pretty badly, right? So I'm sprinting to this place. I'm
all you can think
I'm like Matt Shervington sprinting to this place without the bulge though. But just sprinting.
But you were a big fan of not wearing undies.
Big fan,
definitely, yeah.
There was some bulge. It was just an average kind of bulge, So I'm sprinting right for this thing. Finally make it, and I think the relief I felt after that. I just want to highlight. Let's just stop traffic right here. The relief you feel after doing a poo, when you really need to go, is pretty incredible. Now, segue. Ready for the segue?
I cannot wait.
We're ready. The relief you feel when hiring, when you're under the pump and you get that one person on board, you're oh, thank God. And sometimes you can feel the job is done right there and then. And sometimes the person you hire isn't the right person And sometimes that's hard to see if you haven't put a process in place, because you're caught on the hamster wheel, and anyone's bodies on site are better than nobody's on site. But I just want to highlight that that's a sort of short-term dopamine hit, and it might not be the long-term best interest of your company. Cross-referencing to a couple of people in our group at this point who were really busy and hired, and then without the proper processes in place, they basically landed in a spot where a lot of mistakes on jobs, lots of callbacks, and just sort of a bad spirit or bad vibe or bad culture sort of starting to develop because the wrong person's been put in place. So I want to sort of go back to the start, and sometimes we can get a bit Backstreet Boys, and it's I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you did, as long as you work for me. Great song. Is that Backstreet Boys?
Definitely
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
I think it's from the 1999 album, maybe. I mean,
I think they were wearing white in the film clip. I mean, I don't know. I'm asking for a friend. I'm not sure.
Number one for 18 weeks in Australia, but hey, apparently.
Yeah, and I Want It That Way was a great song too. Bit of a karaoke symbol of mine. But sometimes it can feel like that just there's no interview process, there's no proper process, there's no probation. And I want to kind of start from the beginning and start the interview process and just talk about how are you ever going to stop a bad person coming on board or the wrong person? I think maybe people are going to get through the cracks because some people present really well in the first 6 to 8 weeks, whatever. But you can definitely put a bit of a stop to it, a bit of a halt to it, a bit of a weeding out process, so to speak. So
process-wise, I take a step back further from the interview part. I think it's got a lot to do with the ad to begin with, or how you're going about to get applicants or trying to hire someone. So are you going down the line of, I'm going to place an ad? Okay, so then you should frame the ad in a particular way to get the information out of the applicants that you're looking for. Or are you going down the route of ringing other people you've worked with in the past, or a mate of a mate, or you're asking your friendship circle, or are you going the route of poaching? So you probably need to identify which route you want to go down first, and then once you get the candidates in, you can get into a interview sort of process. So I think it's really important to, if you're getting people to apply, that there's some kind of hurdle along the way. Now, I've heard millions of, not millions, I've probably heard a few.
101 million.
There's multiple ways. So you can get them to send it through, particularly with platforms and ad platforms that we have now, a lot of it goes through just online to a portal. So a way you can vet that is hey, you need to send this specific information. So you need to send, it could be just, you need to send a cover letter and your CV to this email address, and it could be your info one at, or it could be to someone specific in the business. You could be asking them to do a specific task. So you might be asking them a question, what their favourite footy team is, what their favourite food is, just something that makes them have read the ad correctly, and that they're putting a bit of effort in. Because if you're getting them to do just a little hurdle to begin with, you're sort of vetting a lot of people straight away, because you'd be amazed how many people just go send, and just send it out to the Sparky business owner abyss.
BCC.
100%. So you need to create some kind of vetting process to get the applicants in, and then from there you need to then get your processes down around, righto, what are you looking for in the applicant? A checklist basically of okay, I need this type of experience, I need this, I need that. It can be short, it can be long, it can be whatever you feel like, but often I'd surround it by experience, what sort of work they've done, what licenses they have or they can bring to it. So a few things like that, and you'll start to find out that if the ones with a lot of ticks obviously are ticking the boxes, well, literally
and figuratively,
that you're trying to find. So then you'll find, this person might only have one tick as opposed to the other person have 5. So you've already sort of starting to vet people out. Then once you've done that, then you can go to an interview process. And let's just not forget the interview process when you're getting candidates in to sit down with you. It's on your terms. So don't be like, oh, hey, when can you make it? Like, what day works for you and what time works for you? It's like, hey, we're interviewing on this particular day. It's at these times. These times. Bear in mind, obviously, a lot of guys and girls are probably still working. So you may have to do some things out of like normal business hours. But that's up to you to decide. And often you find, around that 3:30, 4 o'clock mark, a lot of people can make it too.
No coffees at 4 o'clock though. You'd be up all night.
Yeah, 100%.
Cup of tea, couple of beers. Maybe.
Yeah, you can do it before work as well. So it's just creating that process around. So it's from the initial ad onto what you would do and how to vet them, like the candidates who've come in. Then you need an interview process, and then you can take it from there in regards to, okay, when I've made a decision of hiring someone, then you love this, I know that. Then it's about not just, sweet, they're hired, I'm going to make bank now. This is when the real job actually begins.
Yeah, job done, poo out. No.
Relief.
Yeah.
Relief. Relief. I don't know what I'm literally almost speechless to that. So they're hired, right? So this is when the real job starts, because now they might have interviewed really well. They might have been like the best interviewer, really charismatic sort of person, great personality, high fives, all that sort of stuff. But this is when you find out the real them. So, and I know you've talked about it a lot, so love to hear your thoughts around performance managing, or I guess probation managing, or the first 3 to 6 months, particularly 3 months, because that's when the probation period generally falls within. I'd love to hear your thoughts around what you think is really important around that, because I've got you to this stage. I've got you the new tradie. You've got the relief out, but the pain's coming back in 24 hour.
Well, yeah, or sooner.
Maybe,
or later. It's all normal. I remember, I just sort of flash back to the interview process, and I remember my interview process was pretty raw dog back in the day. It was kind of, oh yeah, we love you to come on board. We're a pretty good company, good culture. We focus up on this, and I was just pretty blasé about how I communicated, and pretty blasé about what I asked. And it's funny coming into coaching, because I really want everyone to see the interview process as an opportunity for the business owner to present their company in the best possible light. Hey, this is where we're currently at, but this is where we're moving to. We're in the high-end residential space. We're focusing up here. We're looking at getting a factory at this point. We're doing this. We're doing that. Like, preach the vision. It's your opportunity, and people need to buy into this vision. But do you know the vision? Can you preach the vision? And that's your opportunity to get in front of them and lay some cultural stuff down and lay some vision down. And this is my vision for you, that you'll come on board as an apprentice, stay here 4 years, and then hang around forever because it's freaking legendary, or something like that. So really see the interview process as an opportunity. Also, there's a couple of red flags to me. People have got to be on time to interviews, and also with this, I really want to highlight, don't neglect scenarios when you are basically interviewing. So admin or tradie, obviously apprentice is a bit here and there, but let's say, for instance, someone is coming on board as a third-year apprentice, and they're jumping over from another company, they've moved in a state, they've moved out of state, whatever, and they're like, oh, what are you kind of stuff you've been doing? That's a great question. What kind of stuff you've been doing? And they might say, we've been doing a lot of new builds and renovations. And you might then go, oh, cool, that's awesome. Or you can say, oh, that's great. Tell me about how you would attack a new build from the start. First couple of days, what would you do? So you're getting a rhyme and a reason to their understanding. Or let's just say you had a tradie on board who says they're the best thing since sliced bread on fault finding. Okay, sweet. Tripping RCD, what do you do? Here's the scenario. If they say, oh, I just call my mum, see what my mum says, probably not but they should be able to explain to you the rhyme and the reason and the process of solving that issue. So let's say administration person as well, scenario, where schedule's packed, our biggest client calls, and they're frustrated they can't get anyone. How do you handle it? So just put people in the hot seat, in the $1 million hot seat, so to speak, and see what they come up with and see what kind of bleeds out of them. Obviously, someone coming in as a first-year apprentice, you can't ask them much because they don't know anything, potentially. But also, just to encourage everyone in the interview process, see it as an opportunity to pitch the vision and see it also as an opportunity to sort of see where their skill set's at. Now we've got the relief, we've got them starting, and now it's on the look. I'm a big believer in 3-month probation. It just has to happen. And I used to pitch the probation period like it's got to work for you and it's got to work for me. It can't just be good for me and it can't just be good for you. You can't be happy, but I'm not happy, and I can't be, like I can't be unhappy and you don't know, like just that kind of thing. It's a mutual thing of working for someone. You might be able to negotiate that at a cheaper rate. I know I did back in the day, but now is not. We're in a tradie shortage, so you might not be able to negotiate. Oh, hey, we'll start you at 40 and we'll push you up to 45. And I want to highlight as well, I never advertised for staff members, and it was all through sort of word of mouth, wholesalers, friends of friends, Facebook hustle, like whatever. It was just a matter, it was fairly organic, but it was in a different market. It wasn't in such a tight market. So in this tight market, you're looking to train apprentices up and release them. I feel that's a really good option. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, the probation period. So it's got to work for them. It's got to work for you. And now I really think you've got to have some kind of first month check-in, second month check-in, and third month check-in. Most companies preach, we catch up on the 1, 3, and 5 months on probation or whatever, and they just don't. And I just don't think it's good enough, because it's your opportunity within the 3-month period to either let them go gracefully or be like, no, we see this person as part of our long-term furniture. So yeah, I think that what are you looking for in that month 1, month 2, month 3? I feel like you're looking for a simple performance management report saying, hey, what are you doing well? What can you do better? That's on site. What are you doing well? What could you do better off site? Like, are you late? Is your communication down? Do you struggle with cleaning up? Have you been back to callbacks? All that kind of stuff. And then what are we doing well, and what can we do better as a company? So it's that kind of threefold question we ask both ways, and you're hoping that brings out of them some kind of. I'm hoping a form like that brings out of them 80% of stuff, so I don't have to bring it up.
Yes.
Because when you're just at performance going, Cam, you suck, you did this, you did that, and I'm happy to bring it up. I'm hoping in that form you can self-reflect enough to be okay, yeah, now we can talk about the issues that I brought up on my own accord. Funny story for you. So one of our members the other day brought up, sent their performance review a month into this person who was not quite cutting it, right? And I was like, look, send them the form on what we just said, and let's see where they land. And they were rating themselves 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10,
11,
10 out of 10.
11,
yeah.
11.
Where's the 11 option? Why doesn't this go to 12? And I, as soon as because I got that report too, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, it's not a good fit. Someone that can't self-reflect, someone that's got no awareness of where they sit in the pecking order, but where they sit skill set wise, it's not okay. And then the conversation about, hey, maybe you're not a 10. Didn't go down very well.
Ooh, I'm shocked.
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. My mum says I'm a 10, and my dad, and my brother not so much. But yeah, so and they caught up, and there was just a clear lack of alignment. But he wouldn't have known that if the performance review wasn't there. So yeah, really important, and something that can be so easily overlooked when you're busy. But encouragement to everyone: don't leave that to chance.
No. I'm really big on getting them to be involved in a review type process or a performance type process. You want to hear their opinion, and then you also want to put your opinion forward as well, because often what you'll find is they're bringing up things that you probably have highlighted as like in your mind or in your report, and you're like, yeah, they're probably a bit underperforming here, a bit underperforming there, and they'll come forward and they'll be like, yeah, I don't think I'm doing this, but often they'll give you the why they think they're doing that too. And it could be like, I'm just lacking in this area because I just need a little bit more understanding of how you do that process, or how you want me to use the job management software, or I just haven't quite got my head around how you guys like to do the rough-ins sort of thing. So they're bringing things to the table that can be mutually beneficial. But in a wrap of it all, don't avoid those conversations, and they're really important, because you will highlight that sometimes it's just not you and it's not them, it's just the fit's not right. I'm also touching on that big, speak to a couple of your tradesmen that you like have really good relationships with, all the long-term ones, the ones who've been there, because it's really good to hear the opinions of your staff also, because they're the ones who have to work with them. So if they've got issues, right, generally speaking, there might be, if someone's got an issue, generally there's going to be issues with others. And it's not good for the whole team, full stop. So it's not good for the person who they've got an issue with, but it's also not good for your existing team. So in summary, get a process and get a structure and stick to it. Doesn't have to be for 2 hours or 3 hours. It can literally just be a 15-minute conversation, and then you can elaborate onto it and work on the little things in the coming weeks moving forward.
Yeah, I like what you said there. It can be a conversation in your 1989 high ace, you know? So my final wrap up is, just because you found someone doesn't mean it's right. And the wrong person is way worse than no person. So happy hiring and probation, and see you guys soon.